Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it's time for another vlog with Mikey's training week. People seem to really like these, so I'll keep doing them for a little while. As long as we can. Actually, unfortunately, by the end of the year, Mikey will be in a different gym situation, and he might not have access to all this stuff due to a possible financial move. So hopefully we'll keep this vlog running a while. Hopefully everything is good. But until then, let's run with it. All right, Mike got a PR on his floor press, 345. Right, good PR. Right, nice strong lockout. And again, it goes to show how strong his triceps are. Notice he slowed a little right off the chest and then he locked it. Again, Mike has always had strong triceps. He's always had strong triceps since day one. We've had to build his pecs and lats. And we're having to go back to focusing a little more on his pecs and lats again, just to keep his bench and everything moving, but we are deadlift specializing. So you guys will notice on the sheet up there that some of his other volume is being reeled in. We're reeling in a little bit of his upper body volume unless it carries over to the deadlift. All right, what do we mean? Pull-ups, rows, stuff like that. A lot of the other stuff, the pressing volume, we're bringing down. We're going to worry less and less about supplemental squatting because his deadlift is his weakest lift. Again, it's disproportionate. He's a mid 400s deadlifter at his size and overall strength because he squats well past 400 also. You know, is benching mid 300s. We just saw 345 floor press. So the deadlift is going to be a bigger priority for him. And we both agreed on that, both for him as his goals and I as a coach. That's where we need to go with it. So again, some of his pressing stuff is going to be a little less than we're used to. So what he's doing right now, just for supplemental pressing, we're doing some pause bench, and then we are doing close grip bench against bands. And we're calculating that off of his maxes also with the close grip against bands. We're using that to determine his rep work. If you guys look at the notations. And then we're just doing some JM presses, reverse band JM presses after, because he responds well to them. Everything else beyond this little bit of basic stuff for his pressing, even on his upper days, is going to be very, very back heavy. Right, we're going over to more weighted pull-ups. And you know, some people will say that, so why pull-ups instead of chin-ups? Well, if we're looking for deadlift carryover, pull-up is a better exercise. It is a better exercise. We could argue about the lat involvement versus the bicep. We could make a case that they might be equal on lats. I think we could make a case that the lower lat gets hit better on a pull-up. We know the lower traps do. And that's kind of a big deal too when it comes to why I have those in there. But pull-ups and chin-ups both carry over quite well to the deadlift, especially when combined with pin lay rowing. That is a phenomenal combination. If you're trying to build the upper body aspects to your deadlift, those lifts will actually do it. They'll do it very, very effectively. And you know, people don't talk about that enough. You know, they'll say, well, what should I be doing? Shrugs? Should I be worried about my upper traps and stuff? Well, no, not really. You need to be worried about your entire middle back. Not saying your upper back doesn't matter, it does. But for a lot of guys, the extra grip training, the forearms, again, the pull-ups, because of the extra lower lat involvement, the lower lats, right, those can be a weak link on your deadlift. And particularly for a shorter legged lifter, right? Mike doesn't have long legs. Okay, if you look at his ratios, he's a little bit longer torso, shorter legs. Very similar to me in that regard. It's just that he has short arms, I have long arms. But we have pretty similar torso to leg ratios. We're the same height, pretty similar ratios there. So in that case, really focusing on those things can be a benefit because longer torso means you're going to have more back involvement and more middle back involvement. When we say back, I don't just mean your erectors down on the lower half. We're talking about a lot of middle back, lats, lower traps, mid traps. Okay, this is a good combination. We have pin lay rows to help you set up, right? They help you with your deadlift setup. They help with building all the muscles involved in the deadlift, just at a different ratio than the deadlift, more upper body focus. And then those pull-ups combined with it because of the extra grip. Again, the extra lat, lower trap involvement, right? That can make a big difference. Pushing those two lifts really hard for a shorter leg, longer torso lifter can be worth a lot of pounds on your deadlift. Whereas in longer leg lifters, we need to put a lot more hamstring focus. Now, we do a lot of hamstring focus, and you guys will notice as we go into more of his deadlift specialization over the next few weeks that we're going to be actually put more and more work towards the posterior chain hamstring speed pulls, and we're going to stop worrying about quads at all. I'll probably take his belt squats away coming up, and we'll replace it with a good deadlift supplemental lift. Right now, people will say, well, that is one because it carries over to sumo really well. Well, it does carry over to sumo, but we need you to just get a big deadlift in general, and so that means posterior chain and back. You know, again, particularly for the conventional. Here he got a PR, deficit deadlift. He hit 455. Right, that's what he got today. That was a PR, and that was a clean. Look how easy that was. Look at that. That was smooth. In fact, I think he went again here. So we'll see how this one looks. I didn't look at both footage before I threw them into the file. So let's see how he does on this one. I think this is the actual true PR then. So I think this one's a more weight. All right, how's he do? Still relatively smooth. Okay, good PR. He probably had a little more in the tank. Right, he had a little more in the tank. So our goal is to get him to a 500 deadlift this phase. Right. So this phase of training, we're going to specialize to do that. We're also doing, again, safety bar good mornings. Because we notice for him, the cambered bar good morning seems to help with squatting a lot, and it does. The safety bar in my experience and looking at biomechanics is actually really good for a good morning tool for your deadlift. All right, it's great. And I'm not saying all good mornings can't help, but if you were to ask me which bar will carry over to the conventional deadlift the most if we wanted to push a good morning, I'm going to go with this one. And we did a lot of cambered bar work, and his cambered bar good morning got really strong. It's up in past 400 pounds now too. Right? But this one, because of, again, all that upper and middle back. Again, what are we talking about here? Combining that, think of the back involvement with that bar because it's higher up. Works your T-spine really well, has used lats for a stabilizer trap, all the traps for a stabilizer. It puts more stress on the middle back than some of the other bars do, and the upper back as well, but the middle is what I notice the most when I use it. Okay, combine that with, again, the pull-ups, the pin lay rows. These are all very specific movements to bringing up the conventional deadlift. Now here he's doing, again, his belt squats, and he's PRing on these every workout, right? He's been PRing every workout. You guys will notice those plate counts going up, right? He's getting up there, and I believe he's past 200 pounds now with these. I would have to check my notes because we record what he hits on these, but I know he's past 200 now for his actual work sets of 10. So coming up, and then obviously we finish with reverse hypers. We're pushing progression on the reverse hypers too. Okay, so there's our lower body components for the deadlifting. This is just keeping his quad strong. And again, you can tell his form's breaking down. He's having to lean forward there. He's running out of steam. These are getting tough. Pretty much limit sets now. But then we look at the lower body, safety bar, good morning, and the reverse hyper. Again, if we want some exercises, because he doesn't have a lot of hamstring equipment, but if we want some exercises that, again, will carry over to your conventional deadlift, we push progression on the reverse hyper. Lower back, glutes, hamstrings, right? And if you look at that movement in those, all the hip extensors in the lower back, that is quite similar movement to what we get with the deadlift, but it has that traction and it has that recovery element that helps our lower back recover, right? So we're going in with more focus on all of our hypertrophy work, gearing it in the direction of his deadlift. So what do we have there? Safety bar, good mornings. We have pushing the reverse hypers hard, weighted pull-ups, pin lay rows. The snatch grip high pulls, I would argue, don't carry over as well to the deadlift, not to the conventional. General upper body and all of that it does. It carries over to bench press because of the better stability on the bench. I would argue it doesn't carry over a lot to a conventional deadlift, right? I mean, the traps a little bit. The traps will help. These other movements are hitting the traps in a more effective way. So we have those movements to bring it up, and then we're doing more volume on speed pulls, which we'll get to in a minute. So speed bench, same template we've been running, right? We run the same template. He does 3 sets, against 30% of his max and band tension. 3 sets wide grip, 3 sets medium grip, 3 sets close grip. It's what most of my lifters do. You guys will notice I do something different. I do 5 wide and 5 medium. I don't need the close grip work right now. I don't care about it. If I want extra triceps, and I do, I just do 2 tricep exercises every workout. For Mike, we're not as worried about that overall. We're just trying to get more well-rounded chest development. So we do all 3 grips for him. And, to keep some tricep in there and to keep him some variation. Because he's doing a little bit lower overall pressing volume. We definitely want to keep some variation in there for the speed bench just to prevent injuries, to give us better overall development. So I keep him on the standard template. Right, if I had someone who wanted to really specialize in something specific on the bench, we might adjust those ratios if we needed to. So again, that's how we do his speed bench. And then he's doing the closed grip bench against bands. Again, because we just wanted a little bit of tricep pressing in this phase. And then we'll go back to hitting his chest harder. And I will probably lean in the direction of moving Mike over to some more floor pressing. Very similar to what I do. Why? Because I need more pec, right? I'm just ensuring his triceps are strong for now. And then I'll rotate him into, again, a phase where we go all out on his pecs with the limited resources that we're going to put towards bench. But notice, even though we've reduced all his pressing volume in lieu of the deadlift, what do we see happening? He still hit a floor press PR. His bench is his lift. He's built to bench. I mean, realistically, look at Mike's build. He's built to bench press. Okay, he's a guy who's going to be good at bench. Even though he was under 300 when he came on, we started achieving his potential with proper training. Now he's at 345 on the flat bench, probably ready for a PR on that too, because he just hit the 345 on the floor press. So again, for him after that, we'll take it more to pecs. But we're doing a lot of lats right now. Doing a lot of lats between the pull-ups and the rows. That's a lot of lat work, which will also help him get out of the bottom of the bench. And then, after the JM presses, we went back through our normal rotation of weighted pull-ups, pen leg rows, snatch grip high pulls. And I'd almost take the snatch grip high pulls out right now because he doesn't even need them. But I want his upper back and shoulders to stay big. Like, we've made a lot of progress there. We might as well continue it unless we have a need to take it out, because he responds extremely well to the snatch grip high pull. He got strong on it really quick. And look at his upper back. I mean, it's paid off. Because that's the area that lacks in someone like Mike, who is a lifetime drug-free lifter. And people have asked that, hey, is he natty? Yes, he is actually natty. And that's one of the things that makes it interesting to use him for a vlog. Because I could put some of my guys up who are using, a Grandma test. I got a guy on a Grandma test. I do have a client who uses a Grandma test. It wouldn't be the same for me to highlight this, because this guy is training completely drug-free. And he's showing you guys this is the size and thickness you can get to if you're willing to bulk, right? Because he's not ripped. If you're willing to bulk and you're willing to put in 10 plus hard years with really effective training, you can get pretty thick. You can get pretty thick drug-free. But, the thing with the snatch grip high pulls, they really make a big difference in these drug-free lifters, because that's the hardest area to grow, is the upper back and the shoulder girdle in general. For guys who are legit natty, is actually really hard to develop, right? It's really hard to develop. And every guy out there who's got to any advanced level without anything knows that. They understand that. And this, as a coach, I have to understand this, because I'm going to coach all types of athletes. You have to understand what they need and what's different from your guys who aren't natty, right? Because it's a different ball game. It really is. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. A lot of guys will claim, oh, it doesn't do. No, it makes a big difference. It's more than you realize as far as training programming. So again, we're keeping them in there. We need to keep them in for him, for that reason. And then we have his speed work, which we're reducing the speed squats a little bit, and we're bringing up the volume on the speed pulls so that we can deadlift specialize. Now, I'm making him work on stopping on the box, right? He needs to come to a complete stop and then explode up. We've got good speed on that speed work, right? Good speed, nice and explosive. You know, now that he's coming to a stop on the box, some people complained about that, and I complained to him about that, and I told him he'd catch flight for that in the videos, and he knew that. But look, this is on a deep box. That box is below parallel. That's intentional when we want to deadlift specialize. A deeper box will have better deadlift carryover, and it'll give you bigger glutes. So that's actually part of our glute training itself. Right? We say, well, what are you doing for glutes and all that stuff? Well, that deep box for the speed work. Okay, deep box for the speed work. And I'm about to take him to a phase where I might have him start doing the doubles on the speed pulls, like you guys have seen me do them. We'll be doing that shortly, coming up for him. And I have another lifter who's doing the same thing right now. So people have to also think about that. They'll see me doing something and they're like, oh, do you have your clients change stuff just because you do? No, my clients do things all the time that I don't do, and then I rotate some of the stuff I use with my clients in if it will benefit me, right? So, same thing here. But, again, safety bar, good mornings. And we're pushing these hard, all right, because I had him max on it twice so that we get a better baseline to know where he's at. So these are hard sets. And notice it, again, there's going to be a little bit of rounding of the upper back and the middle back on these. We don't want that on other good mornings. This bar is a different beast. And when it gets heavy, that happens. And that's one of the things that it does. It makes the mid back work so much harder and helps build your thoracic erectors. Is that it almost forces you to round when it gets hard. Something we try very hard to avoid with other bars on the good morning. This is a different bar. It's a different scenario. And then he finished up with reverse hypers. And we will continue to further deadlift specialize as we go. Right? We're going to continue to specialize over the next coming weeks. So you guys watch for it. And the goal will be to crack that 500 deadlift. And we'll get it on camera. It'll happen. It'll be in the vlogs. All right, guys. Well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative. And I will talk to you guys next time.